Right, and welcome back. We've been talking about everything you need to know about your mind and exercising your mind. This is the light side of New Day. As we move towards the end of the week, we do bring you extraordinary stories from extraordinary people. And the person who is super extraordinary right now is Professor Humphrey Obora, P.O. Obora. He's a man who's going to find out whether I'm talented or not. He's the Secretary General, World Talent Federation, and also the President, African Federation for Gifted and Talented People. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
What is World Talent Federation? What is it about?
The World Talent Federation is a 51-year-old organization based in the United States of America.
Tell me more.
The organization was formed because of the lack of support or in terms of identification and nurturing of people who were having high order ability compared with others.
Right.
And the main purpose was to make sure, particularly in the early 40s,
right,
that the people who are going to World War I and later on World War II were the right people to pick up AK-47, who could be a driver, who could be a lieutenant soldier. How could you know who was going to be fit for what? And so in so doing, they were using basic psychometrics those days to identify.
Basic psychometrics?
Psychometrics. Psychometric yes. Means a psychologist using certain metrics in terms of, that means measurements,
yes.
To find out what you are most likely good in. And that has evolved over a long period to today that we do have machines that can be able to help us foretell talent. Today, if you give me a 4-year-old child, I will tell you the career professionally, scientifically, 30 years in advance.
Really?
And that makes it very easy for parents to know where to put their money, time, and effort.
How is that so?
Well, that is more or less like if you ask a doctor, how can you transplant a kidney? Of course, it has taken us lots of studies, lots of research before we reach this level. But before even I get to the nitty-gritties of the sciences, those details, it is important for us to basically understand the basis of how I got onto the World Talent Federation. During my research and studies in the United Kingdom, you know, the British young girls and boys have got the child rights, and you cannot cane or kick out a child, ridicule, or punish. And when they discovered many of these young people were leaving the classrooms, as you know, gifted people, intelligent people, they learn quickly. When the teacher goes at an average speed or slows down, they get bored. And when they get bored, they have to look for a way to entertain you. So probably you've seen kids throw pencils on the floor to attract your attention, that kind of stuff.
Right.
And then they're thrown out. In this case, they walk out. Then it's discovered that the best brains were the ones walking out. So there was a need to keep them back in class. So as we did part of those research, I was in the group that were to do the animations of footballers with plurals, sentences, algebra. Chenga moja, step moja correct. Chenga mbili, correct answer, bow. You understand? And any British young girl and boy would really be glued onto that. And we turned many because the idea was, if you want to play our game, you got to get a letter from your teacher that you didn't walk out of class. And many stayed in. So I came back with my Zenith laptop back here in Kenya. And my daughter, one evening, who was in class 3, was playing with my laptop. And as the young girl played, I could see she was doing quadratic equations.
Quadratic equations?
Which are done in Form 2.
How is that so?
This young girl was doing it. So I also became curious, like you are, and I started looking, of course, without disturbing her. Then I discovered she was going on the hints section. You know, you put hints how to go. And you see there's that big board. If you get more points, just like the one for golf, you know, you get your name higher on the hierarchy.
Yes.
So she wanted to get the utmost points. And so she was going to the hints section and learning by heart. I want to insist. Learning by heart. Because in Africa, people believe all learning is in the brain. And that's the concept of academics.
That's true.
We forgot. By learning by heart, she was able to know basic rules of the game, and she was able to play it at higher level. So I discovered my daughter has got high order ability. I need to do an assessment and do differentiation and acceleration, as educationists understand that.
That's right.
And the best thing was to move my girl to Form 1 from class 3. And that's when things broke loose because I couldn't find a school that understood that.
Yes.
I was fortunate to find one school from a colleague we used to teach in Aga Khan that accepted my daughter, not because he understood me, but because a private new school requires numbers.
And she got admitted?
She got admitted. Before I knew it, I was the problem engineered by my family and the school, the Visual Primary School. They had now followed me. Before I knew again, City Council had come in, and of course, mother-in-law was already there to tell me, ujinga yako ijaisha, mtoto mdogo ingiaje Form 1. And what saved the day was that after 2 months of haggling and reaching at the end of the term, but we had finally agreed the girl was going to go back because of too much fighting.
Yes.
But at the end of the term, out of a class of 23, she was number 11. Remember the ones...
A very young girl at that?
Yes, yes. The one she was doing some subjects she was doing on the computer, she was already competent. So she got 50s. So that's when I stood my ground. Because if she's going to go back in primary, then number 12 to 23 must also go back irrespective of the age because they're not better anyway. And that's when they eased out. And my daughter got accelerated, reached year 11, which is equivalent of Form 4. Got straight A's, 2 B's, and as we pick today, is already a graduate. And this is a story I like giving, that I made my own decision as a parent, knowing what it was that my daughter had in terms of capacity.
Did she go through the psychometric
Psychometric is an old term.
Yeah.
Nowadays we do a gift and talent assessment or screening.
Yes.
So yes, I undertook it. I'm a professional in that. I did it myself. And
do you use the old-fashioned and the new? You said it started way
started long
back.
ago. It has improved quite a lot.
Yes.
Yes.
But are you able to? You've been in it for a very long time. I mean,
Right.
you've got the professor standards.
Yes.
You're able to now do it from an old. You can look at it. You can look at someone and say, "Who you?"
Yes. Yes.
Are you able to do that?
Yes, I can certainly give you 40% who you are. Like I can already tell you are right-brained, and you use the right upper side of your brain.
Oh,
to do
stop
coordination.
right there.
Yes, and that's why you react by speaking.
Wait.
Look, I'm talking to all of you. See, people react differently. Have you seen in a hall? You send one signal. Some people react by stamping their feet. Some people do like this. Why? It's the same signal. It's because the receptor is there. But I'm coming to that.
Okay.
The science of which you
Now,
love
actually,
it
let
at
me
that
just
moment.
put my
Yes.
papers aside because this
Yeah.
is now getting more
Yes,
interesting.
yes.
my friend.
I'll
Yeah.
get back to the science, so it'll be very simple for you to understand.
Okay.
Now, why I brought you the story about my daughter, it's because it is the reason that caused a lot of hula baloo in this country, on this continent, about what I was doing. I remember even Mnet TV came down to find out. But it was all in the negative, that I was bogus, I was fake. You understand, the fake professor, the fake this.
You're going
Yes,
against your
Kenya.
mother-in-law.
Yes, yes. In Kenya,
Yes.
if you bring a new thing, generally in Africa, hatujasikia hiyo lazima ni fake. This is
Lazima ni fake.
you
We have
lazima
to go
ipigwe kwanza, lazima ipigwe kwanza.
Ndio
Baadaye ikishakuwa mzuri, then you see people saying, ala, kumbe ilikuwa hata tu kupiga sana, hata sikuwa na maneno. This is our nature. We fight new things first before we accept it.
Right.
But because of that publicity, and that's why we say publicity is publicity, negative or positive.
It is. It
I got an invitation from the World Talent Federation way back in 2008 to present at the Vancouver conference.
Right.
And when I went there, I made a powerful speech. And that's the time they created a branch for Africa. For all that period, there was no representation for Africa. And the African Federation for Gifted and Talented was created as an arm of the World Federation.
Right.
And I was nominated the president, and I'm still the president of the Federation for Africa.
Right.
That's to make sure this thing reaches Africa. And because of that, 2 years later, a vacancy fell at the headquarters in the, at the World Talent Federation for the position of Secretary General. I was nominated because of the work I was doing worldwide and the expertise. And again, I was affirmed as the Secretary General in 2013, and I'm still the Secretary General. So that's where the World Talent Federation and the African Federation come from. Now, let me now put you into perspective about talent.
Put me into perspective into talent.
May I tell you,
Please,
read
sir.
all religious books.
The Torah,
It is
the
written.
Quran,
Read them.
the Bible.
Read them all.
Yes.
In the beginning of
the-
any human, God planted talent. And your job is to discover your unique talent and grow it into a gift.
Or a performance.
Listen, there is a difference when I say talent and a gift.
Talent and gift.
They're not the same.
Okay. They're not the same?
They're not the same.
They're not the same.
No. Every human has a talent.
Every human
Every human.
alive.
Yes. If you don't have a talent, then you have no cognition. In other words, you don't know even who you are. You are essentially dead.
So every human has
Must have a talent.
Must have a talent.
So, in other words, anybody who told you somebody is stupid or foolish is the one or she's the one who is stupid. Because there's no human who is stupid.
There's no human who's stupid.
The other person is only different from you. Everyone has a talent.
So instead-
However,
yes, sorry to cut you, sir.
Yes, yes.
So instead of saying you are
Yes.
stupid, you
Yes.
say you are different from me.
yes, you got it.
I got it?
You couldn't have done it any better.
Perfect.
Good man. Now, the only difference is that we do have different types of talents with a person. The talent is measured in the unit known as genus. So what is the genius or the domain specific of your talent?
So, okay, so
yes.
I want to go slowly but
Yes,
surely with
yes.
my viewer because
Yes,
my
correct.
viewer is watching and
Right.
they're wondering, what is this professor talking about?
Yes.
So the standard measurement
Yes.
of talent
It's called
is
Gina.
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 G-E-N-R-E.
G-E-N.
N-R-E.
Genre.
Jonah, yes.
Okay, right.
Coming from the word, from genes, human genes. You know, the
Genes,
unit of humans
yes.
are genes.
Genes,
Yes,
yes. All
so
right.
the talent. So, an average human has 241 genus of talent.
241.
241. And those, they group together to become realistic. For example, I can have, like you, with a good verbal linguistic, okay? Your verbals are good, and you seem to apply it in the languages. So that is a verbal linguistic talent, okay?
Verbal linguistic
Yes.
talent. I'm
Yeah,
writing
verbal
these
is
ones
to
down.
do with the words,
Yeah.
good with identification, formation of words, and can apply them in a language, meaning could be good in PR and communication and coordination of events. Those are typical people of that nature. Some other people could have the right lower side of the brain. We call them manual dexterity brain. Manual meaning physical, dexterity means can do it in different ways.
Okay,
That means the mind and the body work in union.
All right. Now, I've lost you a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
May I go pole pole?
Pole, yes.
Okay. They are different types, or what we call the genus of talent, and
Right.
the group.
I got that one.
Yeah, that
Yes.
you got.
Yes.
And may I tell you all about your brain is the front part here. It's called the parietal lobe or the front lobe
Right.
of
Front
your brain.
lobe. Okay.
Yeah, we have the other parts which
Medulla
are mainly
oblongata.
for storage and recall. And here we have the left brain and the right brain.
Left brain, right brain.
Right brain.
Right.
And then there's a thin membrane subdividing upper and lower on both sides.
Okay,
So everything about you is there.
So I've actually
That's
drawn a
like
circle.
you got it.
Yeah, so I've drawn a circle here.
Yes.
That has the top part,
yes,
the bottom part, left and right.
Left and right. Got it.
Right.
Got it. Good man. Now, at the time of conception, when the mother is pregnant, to 4 years is what we call child development. Now, what is child development? Child development only means one thing: establishment of communication paths between the body and the 4 areas I've mentioned. They are called the quadrants of thinking.
The quadrants of thinking,
Yes,
like the ones that
quadrant
I've
being
written.
4.
Yes.
So communication paths are connected to that area, and by extension to the other areas of the brain. Now, we need to get this right now.
Make me understand.
For communication to take place, God created main organs known as base stations. We call them the quantum points. For example, Safaricom has head office, but the signal cannot reach you continuously, seamlessly. There will be mast and boosters along the way.
That's true.
So in the main organs, that's where the boosters are.
Yes.
So if there is a problem on your toe, the cell in your toe will initiate a signal to the nearest base station, say the pancreas, okay? And once the signal reaches there, it has to find the quickest path to your brain, because remember, the brain does the interpretation. For example, there's a supermolecule, meaning digestion is not effective on some toe. So so it is blocking the cells. So the cell initiates a signal. Signal uses the nearest path to the nearest quantum point, escalated to the brain. The brain will interpret the signal that is a supermolecule. It will initiate a signal to the pancreas to release insulin, so that insulin goes and breaks that supermolecule. Then the cell is able to swallow it. You understand?
I get you.
Now, there are gangali, or billions and billions of such signals. Now, listen. Now, I want you now to get this right.
Now,
and with your viewers.
Yes.
Now, I mentioned you must use the shortest path possible to the brain, okay, for that signal to be interpreted. Now, at the time of conception, as the child grows, so many things take place. During pregnancy, there are ladies who do crave for yogurt, crave for non-food items like soil. We call them paika. Okay? Stones and all that.
That's true.
These do change mineral content in the fetus, meaning changing the signal sequence paths from its origin. During birth, there could be prolonged labor, giving what is called a neural gangali twitch, meaning signal shaft again. And this is the essence of post-term, preterm birth. Any sickness between 0 day to 4 years could essentially affect this. So these communication paths from the time of conception and fast-tracked from the time of birth to age 4. And at age 4, this front part of the brain is fully developed.
That's right.
Now, after 4 years, there's nothing else. You're just growing big. That's
after
it.
4 years, that's
nothing
it?
else. You're just growing big. And the communication parts are just being enhanced. Now, listen. Why I mention those problems, whether you eat the lady craving soil and all that, changing signal sequence, it has an impact in learning. What it changes is known as learning style, ability style, and product style. I'll give you an example. Some kids are so good in school in the early ages. When they hit class 5, some as late as Form 1, Form 2, they start to decline. Then you hear the ululations from the parents. He was so good. She was so brilliant. This school is bad. These teachers are bad. Hang on a minute. Math was so good until she reached this school.
He was enjoying this subject.
Yes. Change the teacher. Maths became good again. Maths never changed. What only changed is that the new teacher is in conformity with the learning and product style.
Learning and product style.
These are things in Africa that we never paid attention to, because we believe the same jacket will fit everyone.
No.
Whether female or male, tall or short,
Right.
fat or slim. That's the essence of our education systems. Do these subjects, these are the expected results. That's it. It's the same concept. Now you can imagine how humans are unique even to your own sibling, and you expect them to have the same results. No wonder in Africa people are crying about exam cheating. No wonder in Africa it's cutthroat business for both parents and teachers and the students themselves to pass that examination by all means, because you want to survive. Now this changes everything. And one of the things that I want to come out for this continent is for people to realize, in the beginning, it was the talent. And the talent is the basis of knowledge. Now, in Africa, we went worse. When we were colonized, we were left with a concept of learning that requires you to memorize or cram and recall tutors' notes onto foolscaps in an examination hall. If you have the brain power to do that, then they say you are brilliant. Of course you are brilliant to do that.
Of course.
But that's normal because bright people know the answers. Gifted people only ask questions. There's a marked difference there. But that should even worry you, that in your village, there's a guy who dropped out in class 1, but he's the one repairing radios. He never went to any engineering class. Does it not worry you?
It worries me. In fact, it makes me think, wow, there's something
So
about that
what is the meaning
person.
of this thing you call education? The answer is simple. We forgot the origin. We started acknowledging the enrichers. Remember, you have your talent, and we have to find means and ways, after we identify it, to support, or what we call nurturing, so that it grows into a gift.
Correct.
Part of what will enrich your talent are maybe a subject, parts of a subject, a course, parts of a course. Now you can imagine the danger in glorifying the enricher, which was just supposed to support, and we didn't even know what your talent is. You can imagine what kids or adults do go through in learning. In fact, lack of diagnosis or misdiagnosis of talent create a lot of mental health problems in adults. Check on the internet. Most developed countries, they're worried about adult health, mental health, because these adults were misdiagnosed, were not diagnosed, and they are having problems with their own children, their own marriages.
That's true.
These are things which eventually affect society. And as long as they do affect those societies,
Yes.
then it culminates in this kind of problems. So my job, essentially, is simple now. I want Africa to embrace what's going on out of this country.
Right.
If you go to the US, if you go to the United Kingdom, if you go to Southeast Asia today,
Yes.
it is very abundantly clear. Before a child moves into any learning, you have to behave like what they do in the hospital.
Check. Do a diagnosis.
You must. But in Africa, what we do?
them in.
We go for the symptoms. Malaria mbaya sana. This
patia
is
Panadol.
malaria. This is fever. This is malaria.
Kabisa.
So by the time, because you don't want to go and queue in hospital, so you take a shortcut to the chemist. You buy medication. Just like my father believes every sickness is cured by Dawanol, even an injury on the leg. You buy medicine from the chemist because the symptom was fever. Now you can imagine if it was not malaria, and you take medication for malaria, what would happen?
It would
first
interfere with your system.
No, you first create a new sickness and you aggravate the previous sickness. By the time it reaches 1 week or 10 days and you go to hospital, you are an inpatient in a ward and you spend more money there. This is the same thing we do in education in Africa.
Same thing.
We don't know who the learner is. We don't know what this person can learn, and we don't know what this person will ever learn. And so what happens is that we push people through the pipe of zero and expect to get some results. This is dangerous.
Very.
And this is the reason why I'm telling all our African states, it is high time they understood why Serena and Venus Williams are great tennis players. Mr. Williams had a choice because he had the report. And he made the choice 2 hours to follow the academics, 6 hours on a tennis court. Look at the results. Don't you ask yourself, how come somebody from Britain with a mere diploma, somebody like Bob Collymore with a mere diploma, is brilliant enough to run such a big organization? Yes, our PhD holders who have essentially crammed and bright and got the results can't just do that. We got to ask those sober questions. Then we got to ask another last question.
Yes.
Why do you want to justify your billions and billions of dollars of investment without thinking the returns? As a parent, if I invested my money in something, I must anticipate results.
You must anticipate results.
So, as a young person, if you are going to any education system and you don't know your talent, how different are you from somebody who is swimming in the ocean without a destination?
Without a destination.
If you are such a parent and you're investing without knowing what to anticipate, how different are you from a businessman investing in a business you have no results? And if you are a teacher teaching a child today without knowing that child's talent, you are not different from a doctor giving an injection to a patient without any medical review.
Without medical review,
Yes.
right. Hold that thought. Very quickly when we come back after this break, I'll give you at least 5 minutes just to tell me what part of the brains we are using right here in the studio. This is New Day. I am just super pleased to have Professor Obora from the World Talent Federation just opening up my mind to see the world differently. And of course, when we come back after this, he's going to give us his profound thoughts on where Tim sits those 4 parts of the brain. Don't go away. We'll be right back. I'm also reminded that I'm also pleased to let you know that I've got some beautiful ladies who will be joining me later in the studio before we wind up the show. So keep it right here on Ebru TV. TV for you. Right, welcome back. This is New Day. I am so pleased to have Professor Obora. Professor, thank you so much for just opening up my mind. I have read a lot, or rather learnt a lot from you in the world of gifts and talent. 241 talents, is that that's what you're saying?
So
on
genus.
On average. But how are you able, this is what's boiling in my head right now. How are you able to identify whether I'm using my left brain, right brain, left upper, left lower, right upper, right lower?
Right. There are 3 professional and scientific steps. Step 1 is known as oral screening.
Oral screening.
Oral screening is similar to when you walk to a hospital. The nurse asks you, when did it start?
It started yesterday.
Pressure, temperature, all those basics.
Right.
Okay? For our case, we find out during pregnancy, was the kid turning in the womb? Did you take non-food items? Were you craving? During birth, was it prolonged? Was it preterm? Was it postterm? And that kind of thing. We'll have to determine. That's called oral screening. We establish the kind of person we expect. Number 2, we go to the expert, who is a psychologist trained to do this, and that stage is called psycho-screening, where now we use standardized psychological tools to analyze. Finally, we have to check just like doctors to confirm, either using, doctors use X-ray, they use blood tests, stool tests. For our case, we use a machine. The machine is known as anthropobiometric machine.
Anthropobiometric machine, right.
Anthro means man, biometrics, you know.
Yes.
Okay? It is a cubicle, you go in less than a minute. It uses safe white light, like a biometric. In less than a minute, it produces you with your signal paths. So it shows where the path is sufficient green, where the paths have got blockages red, where it's ish yellow. When I look at it in front of me, I can tell your left brain lower or upper. Therefore, I can confirm step 1 and step 2. And with that, we write what is known as a talent report, followed by a learning prescription. Just like doctors also write prescription. Now prescribing exactly what you can learn, what are your ability styles, what are your product style, what are your learning styles. And that report is submitted to the international database. If your report is in the international database, it means, 1, international funding can come your way to support your talent. Number 2, international institutions, or for example, universities, big universities like Harvard, the rest are members of the federation. Thereby, you could get a scholarship and you can be able to access funding for your talent. You have seen on our website young kids like Esther Kaderi, 10-year-old, already at British Open University doing financial mathematics and is on top of the class.
Yes.
Here in Kenya, you saw that young man that you can blindfold and can separate colors, Ryan Dhuku. You've seen the 3-year-old DJ in South Africa.
Yes.
Those kids show you, they're indicating to you they are something different from what you think they are. You understand?
That's right.
And what we do wrong is that you still want to push that child to the pipe of your academics and thereby killing the original talent.
That's true.
That should never take place again on this continent.
It shouldn't.
Today, everyone ought to know who their child is, what the child can learn, what the child will never learn. In fact, we are moving to a stage, and this we said long ago in 2011 when I was in the Douglas Commission, or the Ambos Commission for alignment of the education to the 2010 Constitution. This is there in chapter 44 to 48 of the Education Act. But we still have this whirlwind in this country where every new team comes in, they want to do a commission of inquiry. Every new walks in. So we are in a circus and we have the solutions lying in the shelves there. Today we are talking about competence-based education coming in next year. Not too bad, great giant Panadol to cure the pain. Competence education should be checked again. It has failed in many fronts. The main thing today kicking in is talent-based learning. Learning based on your talent.
Right.
And if you check our websites, you'll be able to see the high and the mighty. It's amazing. More than 40 members of parliament, several MCAs, many prominent people have passed through this. They go to those countries, they see what's happening, but they don't want to apply it for the masses. Yes. It's unfair. Our clinic is located off Ngong Road near Greenhouse. We have one clinic there, talent clinic, not clinic for treating people, talent clinic, where we can find your true talent, hence predict your career 30 years in advance.
So is the anthropobiometric?
Yes, we have the machine there. It was donated in 2010. Apparently, the chief guest was Honorable Musalia Mudavadi when he was Deputy Prime Minister. So not that the government doesn't know. They know.
They know.
They have been there. Many of them are products of the system. Their own children are there.
I am looking at my comments here and I'm asking messages that has just checked in. How much is it going to cost me then?
For the assessment?
All right, yeah.
It's dependent, but on average, between 10 and 20,000. Because we could find complications, like, for example, if a child has got speech challenges caused by convulsions during birth and those kind of things, might require additional clinical tests, which is beyond us, we take to the doctors. But on the average, about 10,000 shillings.
10,000 shillings.
That
All
I can say at 90% of most of the cases.
Your website is www.worldtalentfederation.org.
Yes, or use giftedafrica.com. Giftedafrica.com. You'll find our contacts there.
Right, and then there's ACAEL.
Yes, ACAEL. That is African Council for Adults Experiential Learning. Talent is not only for children. Even adults do have talent, known as mature talent. So the ACAEL.org is for discovering the talent and supporting them based on life, achievement, and work experience. Adults do have an advantage over young people. First, they have the talent. That's why he was a class 1 dropout, but he's the biggest businessman in Mombasa.
Good.
But he's a class 2 dropout. You know, he has a talent. Number 2, he has achievement and on top work experience. And those do have prior credits. And those prior credits, we transfer them to international universities and they get their degrees much faster. Many of the people in parliament are from our member universities. They got their degrees from there. They probably got them in a year because they had those prior credits having assessed them. So that is for the talents.
That's for the talents.
Yes, for the adults.
Now, great. Now that we know where to find you, how much to pay you, I want to find out very quickly. You are seated right next to, well, you're seated right next to me.
Yes.
You're not sitting next to any person. I just want to find out from you, what do you pick from all this conversation from this guy who's interviewing you? What can you tell from Tim?
Immediately, I know you are right brain, Appa, because I've seen the convulsion, the twitches in the eye. I'm already clear about that. Okay? It is not without doubt that when we go to the machine, we shall find things on the left side as well. Okay? Your creativity value is above board. I can already see that. You know why I know that? You got a chance to listen. You are not overreacting.
What do you mean overreacting?
Look, people of high verbal, like you, okay, with impulsivity will always react again. You are not. And that's why I know the left side is somewhat equally good, but not as the right upper brain.
So if I was reacting, if you said something that would elicit some reaction from my end, I would use my left side of my brain.
No, you'll first pick it from the right.
From the right?
You'll pick it from the right. Look, if I say that you're more right brain, it does not mean you don't use the left.
I still use the left.
You still use the left. But you're significantly stronger on the right. Remember, even if I find that you have a talent in a certain thing, you require what are called enrichment, the supporting blocks. And that might come from the rest. And it is not impossible to have multiple talents. Then you're said to be gifted. I could be an athlete, I'm great in math, I'm a musician, and I'm very good at organizing events, and I do them all. It's very possible. That's called multiplicity.
We put that on hold. We put that on hold. I would like you to come in and just have this conversation in detail.
Right.
Yeah, I'll get a few people and just, you will biometric analyze them, and then we'll see how far and how deep we can go with this. Very interesting topic that we picked this morning from Professor Obora, who has been so kind enough to just share all his talents. He's actually turned his 241 gifts to a whole new level. You can reach him on the website that we've talked about, worldtalentfederation.org, giftedafrica.com, www.giftedafrica.com, and then, of course, ACAEL, ACAEL.org. This is New Day.